Okay, cool. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so here we are back in your Meister task board, if you remember. Um,
Mhm.
and we've got, open tasks, things to review, in progress done. We haven't really added anything there. Your big goal, Mars's design thinking related stuff. You mentioned that one of your goals is also to learn faster. We're going to cover that today. Um, and then let's jump into lesson 2. So some of the things we're going to go over today is getting started in MindMeister. So I'll actually show you, we'll go over the homepage just really quick, and then we'll jump into the program. We'll review, see if you have any questions from last class to go over, and I'll answer any of those. We'll go over Squarespace versus Webflow, and why Squarespace is a great tool for getting started with your website. And then we'll do some drawing. We'll go over some learning methods, and that'll be it. So let's go ahead and get started I'll show you some basics of the mind map, and then we can discuss anything from last class and continue to mind map for the rest. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, MindMeister, it starts for free. They have some, as you get more features or more users, you can pay for it. But they have a great app that works on mobile as well as desktop, as well as the web app, which works on desktop. And you and I can both be in there at the same time, adding things to it. So it's a great collaborative tool. You can make presentations out of your mind maps, which is really cool. And then you can turn those mind maps into project management boards, which is really nice as well. So that's kind of the basics. There's nothing too much else to show here. If you want to learn more about mind mapping, these are all the different use cases, and the website has all kinds of good stuff, as well as they have tutorial videos. So if you scroll down to the bottom, they have training and tutorials. So let's click on training. And here's an academy of Mind Mapping 101 and best practices and things like that. So if you're interested in learning more, you can go to the academy section and learn more and see if there's anything that relates to how you're using it. And then if I go down, if we click back, go back down to the bottom of the page, you can see there's also just plain tutorial videos. These are more technical, just how-to videos. Okay, so if you want to learn more about the program, you can come in here, but I'll teach you the basics right now. So let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm going to go ahead and log in now from right here on the top right. And I'm going to go into your Mars Kingsberry. Cool. All right, so here is your mind map. Do you have any thoughts on what your .com is going to be, like marskingsberry.com?
Yeah, I'm gonna go pretty plain with it. Yeah.
Or did you want Kingsberry Enterprises or something like that?
I mean,
I think Mars is good.
yeah, Mars is cool.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then projects. So I know BBE is one of your projects. Any other projects that are like top of mind?
I have a new app that I'm trying to work on.
Okay. What's the app? What's the name of the
Uh,
app? You don't have to tell me what it is.
I don't have a name for the app yet.
Okay. So we'll call it new app. Okay. Anything else that's like a key project?
Basically my music projects.
Okay. Music. Okay. And I know you have like you have your lyric library, your song library, right?
Yeah, poem
And then
library.
what's that?
I was like poem library.
Okay.
Um,
Song slash, let's call it song slash poetry library. Okay. And by the way, so here's some tricks for this program. If I click on Mars Kingsberry and I want to add like another thing off of a child off of Mars Kingsberry, a child off of Mars Kingsberry, I just click on that, hit enter, and it'll
Right.
add another thing. So this would be, let's say, enter and then hit learning.
Can I
And
put weight loss on there?
yeah, absolutely. So something that comes off of this would be you hit tab and you can add something to it. So maybe you're learning about nutrition education. And is there a specific teacher that you're learning from right now?
Yeah, Dr. Nancy Quest.
Cool. Okay, perfect. So there's just something you're learning. You're learning about, for me, you're learning about business and organization. So you're learning Justin's course, let's call it business. You're learning productivity, organization, um, technology, and design. You know, technically all these things can exist inside a business or inside of organization, but we'll just do something like that.
Yeah, I was trying to learn entrepreneurship as well.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, business is, let's call that business entrepreneurship. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so let's add one for nutrition. So we can add one with your goals. And since we're recording, it's up to you whether you want to fill this in now or if you want to fill it in personally.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to do that now or do you want to do that separate?
I'm not really sure. I mean, how deep are we going to go? I mean, we can. It
Okay.
doesn't matter.
What are your nutrition goals?
Um, I'm trying to switch to a more plant-based diet and figure out the right amount of calories.
Okay, perfect. All right. What about like, so where do you get groceries? Just at Ralph's or,
Smart and Final.
okay. Okay. Are you trying to go all organic or that's not that important right now?
Um, I mean, I try to get as much organic food as I can. I was ordering from Trifecta for a while, but I'd just rather buy groceries at this point. Just go to the
Okay.
grocery store.
What's Trifecta? One of those places that sends meals?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is the more you eat healthy, the more you'll just get comfortable, like just grabbing fruits and vegetables and plants out of the kitchen. Okay, cool. Yeah, and Smart and Final is the best place. Great. If you want to upgrade to Whole Foods or to a farmer's market or anything like that, that's always nice to do as well. So we have goals, we have groceries, we have, primary foods, we have liquids, you know. So these are things to think about, and then supplements if you take any. So you can go into the things like what stuff do you want to be eating most of?
Hmm.
So what foods should you be eating the most of on a plant-based diet?
I mean, I'm thinking like I was watching Forks Over Knives, and they said sweet potatoes are really good for you.
Okay.
So like I try to make like sweet potato fries.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely suggest doing it without the oil, but that's for you to figure out. Like the diet that I've been testing out, you can have as much potatoes and sweet potatoes and rice and stuff like that as you want, as long as you're not eating any fat whatsoever. So no oil. So now when I cook any kind of vegetable or grain or whatever, I just cook it without oil, and it's been pretty healthy. I've been losing weight doing that. It's still
Uh,
not the complete raw diet that I'm working towards, but it's a great stepping stone. So sweet potato is one of the staples. What's another staple of the way you want to be eating?
Probably popcorn. Um,
Okay, I won't. It doesn't sound. That sounds kind of odd to me, but we'll leave it there. Um,
yeah.
is that what you want to be eating, or is that just what you enjoy?
Well, I don't know. Like I've been watching like these YouTubers on YouTube, like Greg Doucette, and he's saying that like popcorn is healthier than rice and like bread and
Got it.
different things like that. There's more fiber in it, and it actually tastes good. So it's considered healthy, apparently.
Okay, cool. All right. So since this is more about productivity and whatnot, you can fill this in further. The reason why this is important to have on your mind map is that we're getting so much of this stuff out of your head and into a place. And then from this mind map, we can create tools later for day planning, for keeping track of nutrition, for keeping track of productivity, all kinds of things. We're going to work on key contacts. So for instance, you've got me for what I do. So this would be, let's say entrepreneurship, education, and product development. Who are some of the other key contacts in your stable? You've got Lee, which is what, music and something?
Yeah.
Music, just music. Is there something specific that I should put there?
No, I think music is good enough. Yeah.
Okay, you've got Lee Levin for film and video. Any other key contacts that we should put down?
I talked to Harold Brown a lot.
Okay, what's his specialty?
Music mainly.
Okay.
Cool.
So we can even break this down. So what I'm doing is I'm going to move these into the list of people I'm in contact with regularly. People, colleagues. I want to talk to more, let's say. So maybe someone like Lee might be there, maybe not, but just as an example, maybe Prince would go there. And then, new contacts, people who you're not in touch with that you'd like to be in touch with, right?
Yeah.
So we can build that out, right?
Yeah.
Colleagues I speak to occasionally. So let's put Lee here. Is there anyone else that's like a colleague of yours that you'd like to talk to more, like maybe you're an entertainment lawyer or something like that?
Sure, yeah.
What's his name?
Kenneth Frunzlik.
What was the last one?
Frunzlik.
Okay, you can come in here and and fix it if I spelled it wrong. Cool. So getting the feeling for this, right? Making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. So projects on hold, new project ideas, active. So right now BBE is basically on hold. Music, songwriting, and poetry, that's something you're doing actively, and new project ideas would be your new app, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, is there anything else on the project side of things? Your website's going to be a new project, right?
Yeah.
So I would even mark that as active. So marskingsberry.com. Okay. So we're going to actually start some stuff related to that today. Any other key projects that we should write down? Is that good for projects for now?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay. Oh, you had writing projects too. I should put down. So I don't know if they're on hold or if they're done. So let's say, is your writing something you're doing actively right now, or is that on hold?
I write every now and again.
Okay, so let's make that active. Writing. And so you have fiction, you have films, and you have book stuff and short stories, or what?
Yeah. Well, not really short stories. I was recently working with Lee on making a script for the war movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So films, war movie script. Okay. Cool. And then, all right, so we're making sense of this stuff. And we can keep building this in, right?
Yeah.
So one of the nice things is you're now getting organized, right? Like all this stuff has been floating around in your head, and it's, you know, when you think of something, you think about it, and when you're not thinking about it, you're not. Now you have like this big mind map and an understanding of where you're at with things. It's useful, right?
Yeah.
And it's something you can build upon. And if there's an area that you don't like or an area that needs to change, it gives you a visual reference to all the stuff that's going on in your life and your brain and so on. So, you know, what about skills? Do you have any specific skill sets that if I said, Mars, what do you do? Or what's your thing? What would it be? Is there anything that comes to mind or anything that you're developing?
I guess research.
Okay, that's great. Research. What about putting people together? Networking?
Yeah.
Anything else? So active. So this would be active versus developing, or do you want to develop? So research and networking are things you do pretty well right now. Is there anything else that you'd like to add in here? You have poetry as a skill.
I guess you can count that as a skill, I guess.
Poetry and songwriting.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. Mains and let's call that working. Let's see here. Learning. So entrepreneurship is something you want to learn, right?
Yeah. And I'm also trying to figure out, is accounting really that important to learn? Like, should that be like one of the things that I'm like kind of like should force myself to learn how to do?
Right. So with accounting, here's a question. We can just put a question mark on that. Like, should you be doing that? And within what I'm doing, you will learn some basic finance. So I'll write that down as well here. What else? I'm assuming you want to learn music production?
Yeah.
Anything else that, like, if someone was to say, Mars, give me a list of the skills that you have, what would they be? You know, accounting skills I wouldn't even put there because that's not something that you're really offering. Like, this is like, what do you have to offer?
Right.
Really offering accounting skills.
I was trying to get really good at storyboarding and drawing.
Perfect. Okay, good. Love it. And then one of the key things that you wanted to say is one of your skills was design thinking. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else before we move on that should go there?
I'm also thinking about this. I was reading this morning about something called the Feynman learning method.
Yep. So learning skills. You want to be expert learning.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And like speed reading.
So part of Feynman method is to teach something after you learn it. So the idea with Feynman method is after you take this class today, you should go find someone that you can teach how to build mind maps and do this for them.
Yeah.
That would be an example of Feynman. So are you interested in teaching?
Not really, but I mean, I don't know. That's kind of like something that, I mean, I guess if I felt like I really was like confident about like something that I really knew well and I could teach it to someone and it would be like valuable to them, I would teach. But at this point, I don't really feel like there's anything I could really teach someone that they couldn't, you know.
What about acting? Is acting a skill you already have or something that you're developing?
I mean, yeah, but I still don't feel like I could be like an acting professor. I feel like I have long ways to go before I'm like an acting professor. Like I feel like they're like.
Not to be a professor, I'm saying is acting one of your skills. It's one of your current skills, right?
Yeah.
What about singing? That's something you're trying to develop, right?
Yeah, I'm not. It's something I'm developing. So I'm a stronger actor than I am a singer. So.
Right. So I put acting up in your mains. Like these are things that are, you're going to be developing everything, but your mains are the ones that you've kind of already got the basics. And then the rest of it is like stuff that you really have to build up the foundations for. Singing, I'm assuming learning how to use a MIDI controller. So
Yeah.
keys and pads. And then, recording software. And I'm assuming,
Yeah.
what else? Music publishing.
I was thinking with going with Pro Tools.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, whatever makes sense. So, we'll start working on tools as well. This is where it gets really big. Let's see if I have a good place for tools. Let's do tools down here. So tools. So let's current stack.
What does your map look like?
I will show you in a second. So there's current stack would be your hardware. You have a MacBook 13-inch, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a Samsung Note 9.
I think it's the Note 8.
Okay. Any other key tools? Any other key hardware?
I was considering buying an iPad, but I mean,
Okay.
I'm kind of like, I have to look into the budget for that one. I'm trying not to be like wasteful. Like I'm trying to make sure like I spend my money on like
Smart.
the necessities.
Right. Yeah. And I would skip on the iPad for now. I agree with that. You asked about mine. Let's see if I've got one I can show you. So I've got a whole bunch of them, whether it's for me personally or for my clients. So let's see if I've got a recent one. Here's one I did for School Hub. I don't know if I'm going to go into my personal one, but so I was coming up with ideas for how to get schools online.
Uh-huh.
And so I built out this mind map. So Communications Hub, how Microsoft Teams works. So I had to break down how Teams works. So when I teach the class or teach school how to use this software, this is what this stuff works. So I mapped out how Microsoft Teams works, and I mapped out how schools work. And based on having done those two things, I can actually get schools started in Teams. So our company, this is how our company would work. So we need a sales website, and on that website, we need a chat bot and pricing and learning portal and blah, blah, blah. These are the departments of the company. Any staff would be listed here. I started mapping out just a little bit of infrastructure related stuff. See here. Subscription services. So these are things that we would be able to sell subscriptions for. What are some of the technical challenges that we're going to run into? What's going on in our marketplace? So we have curriculum sales, software sales, digital assets that we can sell, e-courses, and then we can also sell physical goods to schools through this hub. And then this is a list of different types of services that we could offer. Everything from tech infrastructure to software maintenance, email migration, training classes for teachers, staff, students, parents, course creation, and so on, right? So that is, in a nutshell, and this took me, one session plus another quick review session. And I basically mapped out this whole business model and then took that business model, built it out in Microsoft Teams. And my next step is to do a video presenting what I built. So do a little PowerPoint, do a little video, and then put it on a website and maybe point some Facebook ads to that website or LinkedIn contacts and get some teachers or school representatives to start looking at it. In fact, I was also interested in cold calling schools or something like that. So I'll put together a team around how to get my school system in the hands of the right people. So that was a lot of words. But long story short, because I have this mind map, figuring out the next steps is really easy. I've built the mind map. The rest of it is just following the assembly line of starting a business. And speaking of that assembly line for starting a business, if I go into my slides through beautiful.ai, let's look at something that you and I did together. So you and I, a long time ago, we put together bodybuilding entertainment, BBE, as a concept. So one of the steps in our development of the concept was to make a slideshow, right? So this goes from like, maybe we did a mind map first, I don't remember, but we brainstormed ideas first, and then we simplified them into a deck. We did a user interface mock-up so we could show what it might look like, you know, showed the core tenets of the ecosystem, gave it a little summary, you know, what's our mission, and then we started thinking about the timeline for how to bring it to life. But this is the page that I was bringing up. So you know that on any project that you do, these are basically a set of things that you have to build next. So every time you have a new idea for a project, like you have a new app, this is what you would do next. You would make a polished slide deck, a professional business plan. You would do the line item budget, 5-year financial model. You would get letters of intent. You would do any kind of prototyping. So if it's an app, then you would prototype or mock up the app, and so on. You would do some rendering, some storyboard stuff. You'd make a sizzle reel video, content strategy, research and analytics, your website, legal foundation. So like, you know, these are all the things that you're either going to need to know how to do yourself, or know how to hire and lead people to get this stuff done, right?
Right. Is there like a super, like, is a website on there? Like, because generally people have.
Right there.
Oh, right, or it's right there. Okay, so like I'm kind of like curious.
Mm-hmm.
So there's cheaper ways to build a website, like using Squarespace or like Webflow.
Yeah.
So like for all those other things like legal foundations and industry research analytics and all that stuff, is there like cheaper ways to do that too?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what I'm doing with my Microsoft Teams setup, is I'm identifying various ways to do everything. So, you know, under legal, and I haven't started filling this in, but so under admin, legal, let's see here, legal, there it is. Admin legal, here's where I would put like LegalZoom as an example. You familiar with LegalZoom?
Yeah. No, actually I'm not.
So this is a company that, one second, it's loading. LegalZoom is basically, they get legal work done for you faster and a lot of different things, and they'll connect you with lawyers, and they usually have flat fees for stuff and all kinds of things like that. So let me go ahead and open it here. Let's see if it opens. Did I spell it right? Looks like I did. Maybe my internet's going slow. Can you still see me okay and hear me?
Yeah, you're like in a, there's like a separate box that you're in, or like it's like on this smaller side of, it's on the corner of the screen.
Right, but you do see the screen share right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's LegalZoom. So they do business formation stuff, wills and trusts, intellectual property, and they'll connect you with attorneys. So sometimes this is a quicker, easier, cheaper way to get stuff done. It's all flat fee pricing, right? So that's a great tool. What else? I mean, I think I've heard of like Rocket Lawyer is another one. You know, with accounting, there's a company that I just added to my accounting list of potential companies. So accounting automation, let's say. There's probably companies that do, like, they'll do partial where they give you software, and then the other part they do the work as well on their end, but they use artificial intelligence to make it cheaper for you. A lot of companies like that. So, oh, here we go, Bench, accounting automation. So Bench is a company that does your bookkeeping for you and uses software to help make it easier. And so their pricing starts here. So from $139 to $299 a month, depending on your business size and other things. That's what it would cost to do your bookkeeping for you. So every time you start a new business, you'll have like a spreadsheet that's like, okay, when I start a new business, here's a spreadsheet for a new business, and these are the initial expenses we can expect based on, you know, having pulled this type of stuff. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do before we move on, I call this filing. So now that I found a tool that I like, I need to file that in my accounting area. So under admin, accounting, and teams, I'm going to go ahead and file that here and paste. So bench. And so now I've got another tool here. And what I'll do is I'll have a secretary or an assistant go in and find the pricing and add that to my master spreadsheet. And depending on whether I want them to be part of the assembly line or not for building a business, they would go into that process map. So that's that. Now, one thing that I can do as well is I had to do a lot of clicks in order to go from bench.com, find the admin area, click on accounting, hit plus, hit website, paste it, and give it a title. That's a lot of steps, right? I could just as easily go to my chat with my assistant and just say, please, or I'm not even going to say please because she already knows that this is an instruction. Add this to accounting channel. And she's going to know that to automatically sort that and file it in the right place for me. So I'm constantly sending descriptions to, or not descriptions, but instructions to my secretary so that, what was I going to say? So that she can do the filing for me so that I don't have to do those 8 clicks. And by doing that, I just type something to her. I just go to her. It's already open and I can just type the instruction, type the next instruction, type the next instruction, and things just get done and filed and taken care of. So I'll constantly be like right now, I want to add something to, what we're going over today. So I'll add here. Okay, so now I'm having to do even more work, right? I just want to add one thing to your Meister task board and I'm doing all this work and waiting and waiting. And now I'm going to the mind map and I'm going to add, talk about secretary filing, right? We also talked about, what I called it like the assembly line, right? How to start a business or, what to do after you have an idea. All that deliverables to make after having an idea. Okay, so just those 2 things that I just did, I could have easily just gone into my chat with my secretary and been like, please file, talk about secretary filing in Mars's mind map lesson 2 under the checklist. And then I could say, please also put in, into that checklist this. And so I wouldn't even have to open up this app to know that it goes in the right place. Cool?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, so here we are, looking good, man. All right, so let's go to tools. Just a second here. Where did I put tools? Oh, I'm still in my map. So let's go back to the Mars map. Recents and Mars. All right, so tools, current stack. You got a MacBook, Samsung Note 8. What apps do you use in your MacBook? What are you using for web? Safari or?
Chrome.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any Chrome extensions at the moment, like stuff up here?
Yeah.
What kind of extensions do you use?
Extensions. No, I don't think I have any extensions.
Okay. So Chrome extensions are basically like little apps that do, cool little things. Like this one manages my passwords. This one will take a screenshot of a website. Toby gives you that bookmarking system we showed you last time. Miro will take a screenshot of a page and put it in Miro for me. So there's some cool tools. This one called Loom is great for filming tutorials or filming some research, let's say. So if I do a bunch of research and I'm ready to present it to someone, I can click this button and start a recording. skip that for now. But I could click this and start a recording of my screen and my video and do a quick little like walkthrough, and it'll give me a link that I can send to people and they can watch that video really fast. So those are some examples of really good extensions. I'm gonna write some down for you to install, such as Toby and video speed controller, LastPass, and Loom. And we'll also have you do Miro later. So basically, video speed controller is cool because I can go into a video and turn up the speed. So if I go to, let's say, YouTube, and I want to watch this, but I don't really want to like spend 7 minutes watching this video. I have a shortcut on my keyboard
is the F-35B Lightning. It's known as a fifth-generation multi-role aircraft with stealth capability. At a top speed of 1,200 miles an hour, operating within 50,000 feet, and the ability to land vertically onto the deck of an aircraft carrier. To put it simply, this is the most sophisticated fighter jet the world has ever seen.
So now I can watch a 6-minute video in almost no time. Race.
That is one of the coolest pieces of engineering I've ever seen. If I'm going to lose to anyone.
So, anyways, this tool. Let's see if I can use a different video as an example.
Memory was so short in Crash Bandicoot.
Right here is that little speed controller. It adds a little controller so I can speed it up or slow it down or use that to skip ahead 10 seconds.
Bad.
So great little tool. You can also go to settings and change the speed from right there up to 2 times. And apparently now they have a custom thing. So if I wanted to get it just to the speed I want up to 2, I could do 1.7, say. So
It took 2.
So that's that. And that is one of the tools that you can use to learn a lot faster. I get through a lot of videos in a day, more than is even humanly possible because I speed up. Make sense?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is probably one of the biggest speed learning tricks that I could possibly ever teach is how to get comfortable listening to audiobooks and video at high speeds. So big fan of that. And that covers a little bit of the topic of speed learning, which was something you were interested in. So under my stuff, or stuff that you're interested in learning, let's see here, expert at learning, speed reading, audio and video speed listening. You can also add like things like photo reading and speed reading. So just a quick little intro. There's a guy named Paul Sheely, and he's a specialist in learning, and he teaches a method called let's see here, called photo reading. So let me see if I can find a video, and we can. Boom. So let's grab this one.
Hello there. My name is.
And this guy's going to talk about how he goes through this process of photo reading. And it's basically this process where you look at every single page in the book and you spend about a second per page, and you go through it maybe 3 times doing that, where you just spend a second per page. And it basically almost downloads that book into your brain. It's really cool. So I'll share this with you and you can learn more about photo reading. And there's a lot more stuff. Tim, what's great about YouTube, by the way, when you start finding videos that are of interest, usually something in the up next or the side recommendation panel, you can find some really good stuff. So the second you look for something like photo reading, it can take you on a journey where you're constantly just following the rabbit, so to speak.
Hello there.
From here to, okay, maybe I'll watch the science of it next. And then after I watch the science, let's see how Bill Gates reads books.
I don't let myself.
And so on. And when you turn up the speed, you can spend, 20, 30 minutes, an hour just clicking around through the recommendations, and you've gone through the rabbit hole of how to of learning very, very fast. Make sense?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Jim Quick?
No, I have not. What should I know about him?
I was wondering if he was like a reputable or like legitimate teacher, like what your thoughts were on him.
Let me look in 1 second. So YouTube, how to follow rabbit from search to recommendations. So, Jim Quick, right?
Yeah.
Learning expert, keynote speaker. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I came across some of his stuff today. I actually plan on going through his stuff real quick, pun intended. So, yeah, I'll take a look at some of his stuff and I'll let you know what I think. But I think stuff like this is great. The biggest thing for me is how do I get through his content as fast as possible? So he's got, you know, I can subscribe to his newsletter if I want to read that and get new stuff. He's got a 3-part brain training that in exchange for your email. So that's how he gets subscribers. He's got a book, which I'd probably want to skip the book or just learn the table of contents and photo read the book. And then go into like seeing some of the videos and templates that he uses.
Does photo reading really work? Like, it's kind of like, unless you have like a photographic memory, like, wouldn't it be kind of hard to remember like a whole page in your head? Or
Well, it's practice makes perfect. I don't think it's meant to be perfect recall, but you generally don't get perfect recall after you read books anyways. It's a way of cataloging books for me. So if I buy a book and I photo read it, I'm cataloging what all the sections of the book are and the general layout and outline of the book so that I know if I need information later, like I can pick up almost any book on my shelf and I'm familiar with how it's laid out and what the content is and where it's going to be. So it allows me to very quickly come back to a book and know what's what. And I do believe that it subconsciously actually records. And if you practice enough, you really can get as good or better comprehension through this photo reading process. It's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, Jim Quick, his website I think is hiding some stuff. He's got some video courses and whatnot that I know he charges for. And you probably have to join his subscription and then he tries to invite you to the course. Here we go, courses. Okay, so here's something to learn. So this is a lead page. What he's trying to do is, on the home page, is if he can get you your email and your name, then he can start sending you emails in a very sequential fashion. So he really wants to get your emails because in case you don't buy right now, he can keep on marketing to you. Also, I bet you that if we start going on Facebook or browsing the web, we might start seeing his ads. That's called ad retargeting. So when people set up pages like this, those pages are meant that if you don't buy right away, they're meant to try and keep you coming back. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think that brain training is great. It's probably a good course. This guy definitely seems to be on a high quality. He's got guys like Brian Tracy backing him up. I think it's great. So definitely. Let's cut back to, what was that guy's name again? Something Quick?
Jim Quick?
Jim Quick. Okay, so let's add that to learning. So we'll add some learning techniques here. And classes, or let's put other teachers, potential teachers. So let's put Jim Quick there, and he's, what is his thing? It's expert learning. Is that what we would say?
I guess speed reading, I think.
Let me go back. I think it's like brain skills, right? Let's see. Super brain. That's right. So we'll just write down super brain. Cool. Okay. And is there any other teachers that you want to learn from or that you are learning from? You have your songwriting teacher.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Bob Garrett.
Okay. So that's songwriting. Any other teachers you're working with right now?
Not at the moment. I have this one teacher on my list who teaches production. What is his name?
We'll just write down production teacher. We can come back to that another time. But yeah, so as you get more teachers and more thoughts, you can start adding them to the mind map. And then depending on how you like to get information down, maybe mind map is where you prefer, or maybe you prefer MeisterTask, or maybe Microsoft Teams is going to be the place. Or in my case, it's the group of them. So I tend to get my ideas down in writing to my secretary as much as possible and say, hey, put this in the mind map, put this in MeisterTask, put this in, wherever. And that's a great way for me to do it. But some people just like using mind maps, and some people like switching between different tools for different things. And some people need to keep them completely in sync from tool to tool so they can see it in different ways. But those are options.
Oh, I do consulting with Nick once in a while.
Who's Nick?
The YouTuber, It's Just Nick.
Okay. It's Just Nick. And he teaches YouTube skills, or what, influencer?
Yeah, like
or?
YouTube. Like, he told me to, for my songs, to pay TikTok influencers to,
Right.
So
influencer marketing, got it. Oh, okay, so that's a good example. All right, so we've been jumping around a little bit. Let's get back to your tools. So Zoom, Chrome, web, so we'll start you with Squarespace. What other tools do you use right now? Do you use Word documents, Google Sheets, Google Docs? We're using MindMapping right now, and MeisterTask.
Is that me or is that you?
That's me. That's me beeping. That's my notifications.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so MindMeister and MeisterTask. Do you use Google Docs much?
Not really, no.
Do you use any other programs on your computer regularly?
Not really. I used to use this thing within the Note 8 where it allows me to take notes on the phone, but my pen broke, so I can't do that anymore. I have to get that fixed.
Okay, that was S Note. What else was I going to ask you? What about for music? Ableton?
I just use FL Studio.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, and I remembered the name of the instructor for music production.
Okay.
Ben Camp.
Okay. Okay, and he does music production. Okay. Okay. One of the tools I'm going to want you to check out is Melodics, which is that music education. So
does Melodics also teach you how to use Pro Tools and stuff, or is it just about learning the keyboard?
So it teaches you the basics of the keyboard, the drum pads. Let me pull it up. And then how to do things like how to sequence. So it's not going to teach you Pro Tools specifically. It's going to teach you the foundations of how to, make drum loops or how to make key loops or whatever. Stuff like that.
I wanted to use Output Arcade and Splice.
Let's look them up. Okay, so Splice is a library of sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, and Output Arcade. So let me add these real quick. After this, I'm going to do day in the life of Mars. So what you want your perfect day. So let's call that actually a perfect day. Okay. All right, so splice, pretty straightforward. One instrument to rule them all. So it's a synthesizer plugin.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's gorgeous. Okay, cool. Got it. Understood. Have you figured out what kind of keyboard you want?
Yeah, I'm just gonna buy the one that you bought.
Okay, that's the Arturia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be here by the end of the week from Guitar Center.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I did a lot of research. So this was the Essential. I actually got the MK2, which has 16 pads instead. It's an 88 key. Here we go. Yep, so I'll go ahead and add the Keylab 61 MK2 to your list. And we can keep on going.
Hey, from curiosity, I was wondering, like, I remember I asked you this question like yesterday, but like, I was wondering, is it true, like, if you want to start a business, if you understand engineering, then it becomes easy to know how to start a business, you know, engineering and design?
Yeah, so what's cool about engineering and design's a little bit, generally design is more the front end, whereas engineering is like how it works. Design's like what it looks like and how it's used, okay? What's great about engineering is when you understand how things work, you're able to apply that to other parts of life. So for instance, if I know how an engine works in a car, well, I can understand, okay, well, in relation to business, I know I need fuel, so I need money. I need that fuel to flow through pipes, so maybe that's communication channels, and then it needs to, depending on the job, so when I want to throttle up, you know, that puts more money in, which means that I'm pushing more money through my system, which moves things faster. And that gas needs to basically convert into fire. So maybe that fire is, you know, tasks, and those need to move pistons, which then moves a crank, which then moves a belt, which then, you know, works its way to your, well, before the belt, which then moves your transmission, which moves your wheels, and blah, 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 right? So by understanding that system, you can then apply that engineering thinking to what it is that you want to accomplish. So for me, you know, I've got all kinds of drawings that picture my assembly lines in different ways. And that comes from, you know, assembly line is very much an engineering type of thing. And if you know how to build an assembly line or engineer an assembly line, then you understand how to get something from an idea through to completion. So that would be an example of engineering. Design, on the other hand, is understanding people and understanding style, understanding trends. It's understanding how does something look, how does it feel in your hand, how does it make the user feel about themselves, what is the experience that you're putting them through. So it's almost very left brain, right brain, you know, engineering being very logical, left-brained, whereas design is very creative, right brain. And the truth is, it's actually all very unified and logical. It's all one big system. So how's that for an answer?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so like, do you have to like really study engineering to the point where it's like you could actually be an engineer, or could you just know like the basics of like how to put an engine part and like you kind of just have like a basic understanding of it and still apply it to business?
So I think there's a lot to be said. Like one thing I like to do is say 3D engineering library. Like when I want to learn stuff and like just pack my brain with cool stuff, You know, I might watch videos of like assembly lines or how things are made or like stuff like this. And I'll watch videos at really high speed to start like loading my brain with engineering footage, so to speak. And I don't need to watch a slow explanation. I just need to see how things move and kind of import that. And in doing so, but just seeing this much content helps to, you know, to put things in your mind, right? So, you know, here's a great example. Here's valves and fittings and pipes, right? If I go to Autopilot HQ, which is a software for business marketing, you can see that their software is based on connecting different tools together in order to do things like from Facebook, capture an email gets sent out, someone clicks that email, send them a text. If they reply, do this. If they don't, do that. It's very much like building a pipe or a pipe system. So you can relate this kind of funnel design to, or here's some templates actually. Let's look at some templates. Let's say that one. So here's like this big template that is basically a lot like the flowing of pipes. In fact, that's why they call it a pipeline in sales. So those are some cool examples. Projects can flow through pipes. So my assembly line model, you know, it's not a straight line. It's a very dynamic, like, you know, new idea goes in here. We project manage how long it's going to take. And then we can either send it to the left or send it down. So if we send it to the left, maybe that's the cheaper way, and it just goes straight down. If we send it to the right, maybe that's a more expensive, complicated way. We go left or right from here, down and out, whatever. So just having that type of engineering skill, now you have the ability to kind of relate things to how to make anything. Another cool thing to look at is something called biomimicry. Have you heard that term before?
Like vaguely, like I can't remember what it means.
So biomimicry is basically about learning from nature. So if you wanted to figure out how to climb a wall, one of the first things you might want to do is look up geckos and understand the chemistry and physics of gecko fingers. The guy who figured out Velcro, I believe he found these burrs, and like from studying burrs, he saw that burrs have this hook on the ends, and he ended up designing the hook and loop Velcro system. You know, spider webs, I believe Kevlar maybe learned from spider webs and how those work. You know, you can look at the way birds fly in order to learn how to fly. So biomimicry is a really cool thing, like dragonfly wings. You can learn a lot from nature itself. So the engineering of nature. One thing that's kind of interesting is you have your golden ratio. And there's a lot of stuff about how this relates to design patterns and thinking and all that. So that's just a quick little intro on the engineering side of things. Okay, so we are about an hour in. Let's talk about your perfect day, and maybe we'll call it a little bit early today, unless there's anything more you want to go over. So what does your perfect day consist of, Mars? What would you like it to be?
I guess a productive day where I get a lot accomplished.
Okay, so your goals would be productive, a lot accomplished. What would you do when you wake up? Would you exercise in the beginning of the day, at the end of the day? Would you exercise?
I think towards the end of the day.
Okay. Going to the gym, going on a treadmill in your place. What kind of exercise?
Just a treadmill that I have in my house.
Okay. Okay. What else? Is music part of your day?
It should be more so than it is now.
Right. And we're talking about the perfect day. So really your perfect day, would you prefer to be with a trainer than a treadmill?
I mean, technically, yeah, but that's not really my budget right now.
I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about where do you want to be.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess a trainer.
Okay. Would you want them coming to you, or would you want to go to the gym?
Probably have them come to me.
Okay. So home trainer. Cool. What else? What type of breakfast would be ideal? Do you eat first
Uh,
thing in the morning?
I really want to try out this called anabolic French toast.
Cool. All right, cool. All right, that's a good one. All right, what about so what would be some of the things? Would you start your day with work? Would you start your day with music? Would you start your day with watching TV? What would be ideal?
Probably, yeah. The very first thing to start the day.
Mhm.
Huh.
We can come back to that if you want.
Like I want to say like reading because like I read all the time in the morning,
Nice.
but like I feel like there's like a certain factor of like the Feynman technique, like he was saying, he doesn't like it when people just know the description of things. Like if you don't understand something deeply, like you need to know something deeply. So I want to like somehow figure out a way to like do deeper learning and be more active. So to start my day, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Active learning. Okay, cool. We'll come back to that later. What is there anything specific, like, so you want to learn a little bit of each of your things each day, right? Or do you
Yeah.
want, but I would put music as an additional one. So like, I'm assuming, is it important to learn piano skills, or do you just want to learn general skills?
Yeah, it's important. Yeah.
So key skills, piano key skills. And then you would have, I'm assuming MIDI controller skills.
Yeah.
And then production, recording skills. Okay. What about business stuff? Like, do you want to spend, part of your day brainstorming? Do you want to spend part of your day like sales calls, talking to business associates, like just
I love conference
research?
calls.
Huh?
I love conference calls.
Okay.
I like finishing projects. So
I like that, finishing projects. That's great. So conference calls, finishing projects. What about research? Do you like doing research?
yeah.
And especially if it's actionable research. So one thing we talked about earlier today is law of attraction. This idea of if you visualize it, you can succeed, if you believe that it's true. But in the movie The Secret, they only did so much talking about what do you have to do in order to make it happen. It's not just visualize it and it appears. The law of attraction, the key word is action. It's really the law of taking action towards what you want to attract. So actionable research. So if you're going to do research, how do you make it actionable? I think that's a key thing we can talk about. And I'm actually going to add that to our topics. We'll actually make that an entire lesson. Actionable research. Okay. Let's go back. So we can fill in the rest of this later. I'm getting a little bit tired, so maybe we'll just keep it to an hour one today. But before we finish, is there anything else that you would like to discuss or go over for the rest of the call?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So how do you know when you are like past the advanced level and you're like at the expert level where you know a lot about something and you don't really know like just the basics? You know what I mean?
I think when you can answer questions and really know what you're talking about. So people ask you questions, you basically know the answer. So that's part of the answer, is just when you know the answers, But you can, a lot of the time you can know answers and be wrong. So having experiential answers is an important part of that as well. How do you know you're an expert? You know when you're an expert when your colleagues are some of the smartest people in that space. That certainly helps when you're really proud of and excited about the people you talk to every day, because they would be able to tell more than your average person whether you're full of it or not, so to speak. So when you're surrounded by the experts and they come to you for advice, that would tell you that you're an expert. What else you got?
I was watching this video by Tom Chi, and he was saying basically that if you think that if once you get to the point where you think that you know something, or that you become into this like state of knowing, then it basically stops the learning process, or it makes actually learning harder or not as effective.
My opinion on that is yes, if. So yeah, if you feel like you're an expert on things and you got a pretty big head about it, it becomes a lot harder to keep learning. If you live your life in a state of learning and you come from a perspective of I don't know and there's always more to learn, if that's your lifestyle choice, then you could be the biggest expert in the world, and chances are you're going to know that there's still so much more to know. So I don't buy that about, if you're an expert, you're no longer learning. I will say that there's a risk that if you're an expert, that you don't keep learning. There's also a lot of people who are experts at the high level stuff, but they could never teach or figure out from scratch again, right? So it's kind of the interesting thing. There's a lot of people are really good at being successful once they're successful, but if they had to start from scratch, they might not know how to get there. Kind of interesting. So knowing the foundations too. What else?
Nothing much. I mean, have you ever heard of playground sessions? Like, what is your thoughts on playground sessions versus melodics?
Let's take a look. Let's go to screen 4. Playground sessions is Quincy Jones's thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see my screen, right, with Harry Connick Jr. on it?
Yeah.
So it appears to be pretty much straight piano lessons, yeah?
Yeah.
So melodics is more, what's cool about melodics is that it's more about learning for production and for the recording world and for synths and things like that. Whereas playground sessions is going to teach you how to play keys. So this is going to be more your finger skills and your ability to know notes and some music theory and play songs, which is extremely important. That's how you're going to get really good. But you need to pair this with some recording skills. And so pairing classical piano skill with MIDI keyboard skills, I think is really important. So the way that I'm approaching my music learning right now is I've got my MIDI keyboard on its way. I'll be doing melodics for learning the production side and playing with sound in a unique way, whereas I'll be learning from not this app, but this was one of them on my list. I picked Simply Piano, and it's an iPad app. And so I literally almost like playing a video game, and I've been doing this for a week or two now. Like playing a video game, I can use Simply Piano, and it's teaching me how to read music and how to play chords and all that stuff. And I think I'm on like Essentials 2 now. I think I'm up to chords now. So let's see if I have a Joy Tunes. I think this is the company. So I definitely recommend checking this out. It is the difference between this and, so let's look. Simply Piano versus the Quincy Jones one. What was the Quincy Jones one called?
Playground sessions.
So let's look. Playground sessions versus simply piano. So we can actually go through and see if, this guy says it's not as good as you think for playground sessions. Will it make you a piano maestro? Let's look at this. Piano maestro is a different one, more of a kid's version. This is advanced. Unless you're looking for a learning for kids, I would highly recommend you choose Piano Maestro. So this person likes Piano Maestro. For me, it's less important to, like, this way of learning just doesn't look as cool to me or as enjoyable to me as this style, which if I can find a better image, I'd love to show you. This was just extremely interactive, which worked really well for me. Like, I figured, like, as long as I sit down at my keyboard, I'm gonna learn.
Playing a song on the piano for the first time feels like discovering what freedom truly is. The sound of your first chord feels like a moment of victory. It feels like finally finding the love of your life. Like doing the impossible. Simply piano. Start playing.
So that wasn't a very good trailer for what it does, but it was a pretty trailer. You can look around, but basically it's just this really simple thing. Here's what you play, so it gives you instant feedback. And it's just really quick little lessons, and it's fun. Works on your iPhone as well, or on Google Play. So I think I signed up for 6 months or a year, and I'm making it my goal to play every day. So this is the tool I chose. It was one of the best rated in the iPad store. Yeah. So yeah, I think, like, so for me on my mind map, if I had my perfect day, it would be, 30 minutes of simply piano and 45 minutes of melodics, and then playtime with my, just time just to play with music. Not only learning, but actually making. So to play and make. And then maybe in my perfect day too would be like, music with other musicians. I'm assuming that's one of your goals, is to be collaborative, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is somewhere where our goals line up, So we can go deeper and deeper. Any other questions right now, sir?
Yeah, I was wondering, so is it kind of, do you think it would be like a good use of my time to learn about physics or anything like that?
I think that, yeah, that's a really good question. So just general learning, right? Like other things. So let's go back to our screen share.
I mean, like, I'm trying to like figure out where to focus my time. I'm thinking, like, is learning physics going to be kind of like not really, like, for like my overall goal, not the best way to spend my time?
So I think one of the things that almost everyone needs to do that's adults is go back and relearn what they should have learned in high school. So there's a really cool tool called Crash Course. It's a YouTube channel. And I definitely recommend them for like intro to physics or history or anything. And I do think it's good to spend, 3-4 hours a week on your general education stuff, the stuff that they teach in school. So if I go to playlists, I'll copy this. So history of science, engineering, media literacy, literature classes, world history, philosophy. They have a good physics course in here as well. Computer science class was really good in here. US politics. So this stuff will make you more well-rounded. So I always think that's a good idea. Here's anatomy and physiology. And you can also, you could look up best physics course on YouTube or best physics class. You can do, There's another guy that's really good. Let's see here. History of math. See if I can find it. There's a guy who does he'll explain really big topics in a big way. I'll have to find it another time. But he does a great job. But yeah, so just YouTubing. I mean, YouTube's one of the best schools I've ever seen. Because one way to consider it too is, instead of asking me if you should learn physics, if you feel like learning physics and you have time in your schedule, type physics in. It's interesting to you. Go learn. It can never hurt to learn.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Any more questions, or should we call it?
That answers all my questions.
Awesome, dude. What did you think of today's class?
Cool. It was good.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And hopefully you'll go in and spend some time playing with that mind map and build upon it. I sent you an invite link, or I'll do that right now, actually. So within this tool, are you still seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
So within here, I press this little I at the top and click Map Properties. And here I can add a member to the map. So I can either share this link with you and just send it to you, or I can add a member. And what was your email?
KingsberryMars.mk@gmail.com.
Mars with a E at the end, right?
No, just MARS.
Oh, I may have spelled it wrong last time. So maybe, let me check the other app. So there's kingsberrymars.mk@gmail.com. I'm sending you an invite so that I'll have you set you up with an account. And then let me double check that I use the right email. Project Properties. Looks like I used the wrong email before here. So let's go in and change that. So kingsberrymars.mk you said Gmail?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, you're in. Rock and roll. So you should have a couple of invitations. And you can get in Meistertask and in MindMeister and start playing with it. And that is your homework for next time. Just get comfortable playing with it, using it, add some tasks, build on your mind map, and grow it. And hopefully on our next call, you can show me more of what you did.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. Definitely get hands-on, dude. That's my expectation for next time.
Yeah.
I want to see some progress in these two tools.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Cool.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for lesson 2, and I will see you soon.
Yeah. See you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.